Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Betting Show, proudly sponsored by AA Sports, home of the NFL for betting in the UK and Ireland. Remember, be gamble aware and 18s only. It's the last betting show before the Super Bowl, so we've got something special for you tonight. We've got a little charity special show that AAA have kindly sponsored us with. So any of the proceedings won from any of the things tonight will be going to a mental health charity. Adam, you've been with me all year round with the betting show. It seems only right to come to you first. Welcome. Are you looking forward to the Super Bowl? Are you just looking forward to the bets?
Well, obviously, I'm looking forward to the bets. I mean, that's why we're here, isn't it? I mean, come on. But yeah, I mean, the Super Bowl, we all love the Super Bowl. I think once it gets up and going, I think we'll all be quite into it, and that'll be good. It's just, as I've said on previous occasions, it's a shame the Bengals didn't make it for me personally. But I think they're kind of the more exciting team, so that's kind of why I'd like them to be there. But yeah, I mean, it'll be a good game, and I think it'd be quite an interesting game, certainly between the O-line and the D-lines. This one, I think that's where it's going to be won and lost. So yeah, definitely this one could be a fun game.
And then we're also joined by Sky, who's been with us all the way through the playoffs and all the way up to now, sitting on the fence with a lot of his decisions. Hopefully he's going to commit tonight. You're looking forward to it, mate? Are you all prepped and ready?
Yeah, mate, I'm ready. Finally made a decision, and despite wearing green, I think the Chiefs are going to win. This wasn't planned.
Yeah. And finally, we may have a rival to Adam for betting knowledge in Sam Farley, joining us to get on the betting show and give us his odds as well. Welcome, Sam, back with the Franchise Tag for another episode. Are you looking forward to Super Bowl, mate?
Yeah, always nice to be here, and yeah, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to just the things that only happen on Super Bowl nights. You hear a Rihanna song, it's the one you bet to be first, and you're going absolutely crazy. I'm just looking forward to all of that, all of the ridiculousness that surrounds the actual game itself, just as much as the game.
Well, talking of ridiculousness, let's get into it. Let's get into the odds. Let's have a little look at what we've got over at AA Sport. Adam, where do you want to start with? Let's go back to you. Where do you want to start? What do you want to look at?
I think really. So when I was looking at this game, I mean, we're kind of like we're a little bit well known for doing the touchdown scorers and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I always go for it. So for me, I think touchdown scorers is what everyone likes to see. On the Chiefs side, I mean, it's kind of pretty obvious, but for me, I think that Travis Kelce at 9 to 10, it's very short, but he's kind of like Mahomes' number one choice, isn't he? He's the one that they always go to in the passing game. I do like Isaiah Pacheco. I think I'm kind of nicking Sky's one here. I know that he's been going on about him for quite a while the last few weeks, but I do think that they've got to get this run game going in this particular matchup. If they don't get the run game, I think they're going to struggle. So Pacheco at 7 to 5. And then the one final one, and we saw it last week, sorry, not last week, in the last game against the Bengals, MVS at 11 to 4 for the Chiefs. I do really like that. I think you might see Mahomes having to make some big plays. And so MVS at 11 to 4, I really like the look of. And then on the Eagles side, it's kind of what we've been saying all year round when it comes to touchdown scorers. It's Jalen Hurts at 21 to 20. And then finally, Devonta Smith. And to me, I just feel like AJ Brown is the guy who gets marked out. He's going to get the main defender on him. And that Devonta Smith is the one that I really like the look of at 17 to 10. I think there's a strong chance that he scores. I know Sam's a bit keen on him, maybe a little bit too keen on one of the bets that I've seen he's come up with. But I think that Smith is definitely worth a shout out here. And as I've been saying all year, during the season, the Chiefs were 32nd when it came to giving up passing touchdowns. And this is something that the Eagles can go against. They don't just have to be good in the run. They can be in the passing game as well. So really like Smith for that price.
Sam, do you agree with our resident betting man, Adam? Do you think they're the guys to be on?
Yeah, for the Eagles, definitely. I think Devonta Smith he just absolutely leaps off the page for me. You're getting a really big price there for a guy who, like you said, I think he's going to be, not getting quite the attention that we're going to see for AJ Brown. And this is a guy who, in college, when it came to important games, he always went absolutely nuclear, and he's got just an incredible deep ball threat. I think he's going to have a really big day. I think this is great value. And there's one other player I like for the Chiefs who's this is a little bit rogue, but I think Kadarius Toney, Super Bowls always throw up these great plays. It's the stuff that's hidden at the end of the playbook that you don't see the rest of the year. And there's nobody in the league better at that than Andy Reid. And Kadarius Toney is the perfect guy for pretty much any of those plays that you're going to see. And I think we're going to see something special from Toney. At least we'll see it attempted. Whether or not he finds the end zone, I don't know, but I'm certain we're going to see one or two very special kind of plays drawn up with him in mind. So yeah, he's somebody I'm really looking forward to kind of getting on for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think when a player is well known for being a bit of a Swiss Army knife of a player, he's definitely going to be used in every single type of wildcat play or trick play or anything that is. We were saying on the main show the other night that we think both these teams have got a trick play up their sleeve, and there's going to be something. And he's probably the right guy. There was a lot of question marks when we were talking on Tuesday about him, of whether he was going to play, whether he was fit. Obviously, he was injured, but apparently all signs are pointing in the right direction. Apparently, he's been running around like a madman around the practice field. So I think we're definitely going to be seeing him being used in the Super Bowl as well. Sky, is there any in there that the guys haven't said that you like the look of? Is there any long shots? I know you're a little bit like me. You probably like the bigger odds.
Definitely. But I think Dallas Goedert, I spoke about him on Tuesday, and I just think, and I was touching upon the Chiefs in terms of their corners, they pressed the most out of any defense in the league. And with the Eagles needing to get their receivers in motion, having someone like Goddard, big receiving tight end, had a big game against the Giants. Sorry, Andy, but in the playoff round, he got a touchdown, over 50 receiving yards. I think he could be anytime touchdown. And then also, I know Adam spoke about McKinnon before. He's been quiet on the Chiefs side for the 2 games that they've played. But, in the regular season, I think he had like 9 receiving touchdowns on 56 catches, as what I was reading earlier, definitely over 50 catches. But yeah, 9 receiving touchdowns in the regular season. As Sam said, you get an X Factor player. I definitely think that Toney is probably the one, and that maybe takes it away from it potentially being McKinnon. But with Andy Reid, it could be anyone, right? It could even be Sky Moore, as we said on Tuesday. I'm sure his odds are good.
Yeah, and as we're with you, Sky, I know we spoke after the show on Tuesday for a long time talking about Super Bowl specials and all the fun bets that you can have. Sam briefly mentioned betting on the Rihanna songs and things like that. So it seems only fitting to stick with you, Sky, and tell us what you think we should be betting on in the fun bets here.
Oh, I texted my mate's girlfriend earlier because she's a big Rihanna fan to ask what she thinks the first song will be. We're at Disturbia at the moment. Could be that's what she reckons. And then, of course, as you know, I banged on about way too much on Tuesday night, is red and pink for the Gatorade colour. I think, you got a good shot there with 2 colours. If the Chiefs win, surely it'll be red and pink. So
yeah, I mean that seems logical, and it's the at 9-2 there as well, and blue sitting at 3-1. Anybody else got any thoughts on the Gatorade colour? Sky's locked in red and pink. Do we think that's definitely what it's going to be?
I feel like it might be blue. It's always blue at the moment. I don't have the stats to hand, but I'm sure on a yearly basis it's blue more than it's not recently.
Adam?
I have very little opinion on the Gatorade.
It keeps you invested to the end.
You said this when we were talking about the other day. I was like, look, the main bets, the coin toss, that's a lovely bet. Love that. The Gatorade colour, the halftime songs. These are what, like, when you get your mates round, the game's not kicked off yet. They're the ones you want to be challenging your mates with and getting your money on.
3 of the last 4 have been blue.
Ooh.
There we go. I can't see the Eagles having blue if they're winning it. Both their rivals play in blue. Surely they've not got a blue in there.
What's the main Gatorade colour? Orange.
Yeah, orange is there.
Orange is the main one, isn't it? But yellow to green, yellow/green is the favourite at 2-1
again. Yeah.
So
do you think that, like Sky's just said, red and pink, Chiefs win, it's going to be red? Do you think green, Eagles win, green? Or do you think that's too obvious?
Does it ever go like that? I'm not sure. I feel like I get tricked into thinking that's going to happen every year, and it never does. Like, this is such a booby trap of a market. Like, it never goes how you think it's going to go. It's
And just we'll have a quick round table on this one. Heads or tails? Adam, heads or tails?
Heads.
Well, it wasn't heads or tails on that one. Sam?
Tails never fails.
Sky?
Heads.
Oh, heads it is then. Heads,
I'll change my mind tomorrow.
Yeah. I sit on the fence on a heads or tails pointer. Adam, I know you haven't been a big fan of us chatting about the Gatorade colour, but was there any specials you wanted to go through? Anything you liked on 888?
Yeah, there was so final play of the game, QB nil. I feel like I'm missing something here with these odds at 2-5 and 7-4. To me, this is a real sort of 50-50. It depends which side has got the ball. So to me, if the side who's behind, they're not going to be kneeling. So it's like at 7-4, it feels like quite a big price for 7-4. Maybe I'm missing something, I don't know. So that was the one that kind of sort of screamed out as QB nil no at 7-4. The only other one that I sort of looked at, and I imagine we'll chat about it in a minute, is Super Bowl MVP. So I'll leave that for now. But yeah, there wasn't really a lot in this section for me, I have to say.
There's one that jumps out to me. Opening kickoff to be a touchback. Favorite is yes, which in theory makes sense because, I mean, that's what we see, pretty much nearly the majority of games kind of on a Sunday. But you go back through history of the last 29 Super Bowl kickoffs, 27 have not been a touchback. Like the game changes in the Super Bowl, and I'm going to take the outsider with those kind of that form, I think.
And Sky, any on there for you?
I guess the one with the possession. I know I had a brief look earlier, because obviously both of these teams that we spoke about, where they both got such prolific offenses, with the time of possession coming into it, they probably don't. In these high-scoring games, teams do try to manage the clock a bit more, so I know it's harder to call. But just with the way I think the game's gone, I looked at it and I just probably thought that I like the Chiefs to probably have more possession. If they're going to win this game, I think they will have to manage the clock and, use the run game more. So I would go with them.
Just want to briefly touch back on Adam's little sneaky 7-4 bet of Neil and get the thoughts of the other two guys who didn't get to pipe up on that one. Me and Adam have spoke about this. That does seem really odd that you can get really, really good odds on there, not to end with a Neil. Considering, like we said, it could be a field goal if it's a really close game. If the opposing team's got the ball, you're looking at complete pass, incomplete pass. Do you think 7-4 for not to be a quarterback Neil is just ridiculous, or is there something we're missing here, Sam?
I feel like I'd need to go back, look through some stats or something, but I would definitely be taking no, like you guys, for that. That it doesn't really feel right, does it?
Well, it feels very 50-50. That's the thing. That's where I'm coming with it. It just, to me, it feels very 50-50. It's like, because it basically could be on one side or the other. So therefore, if it goes on the side of the team that is losing, then you're better off, which is why I feel like 7-4 is just a bizarre price in this particular one. Like you say, maybe there is something in the stats, maybe just the way that it normally pans out. But to me, it just feels like pretty much a 50-50 shot, and you're getting a much better than 50-50 odds on it.
Sky, you taking that bet?
I would go no as well. I feel like it's one of those games where it'll probably go down to the last drive. I think everybody who we've discussed it with on all the shows is always everyone's saying a one-score game. So you imagine one team's going to have the ball at the end, and then probably either time will expire, similar to like when the Patriots lost to the Giants, didn't want to say that, but Hail Mary attempt, and then it probably time expires, someone wins. Or, I could picture Brady kneeling it a few times for a few wins, but I'll still go with the no, though.
We couldn't get through a Super Bowl show without talking about the Patriots or Tom Brady. Thanks for that, Sky. Adam, you brought this up earlier. Everyone's going to be having a bet on this. I think everyone always likes to try and think they might be able to get a sneaky one because the odds get great after the quarterbacks, and that is the Super Bowl MVP. Adam, do you think it's going to be one of the quarterbacks, or do you think there's any chance of someone else? We briefly spoke about it the other night, but do you think there's a chance of anyone else getting it?
I think it probably will go to one of the quarterbacks. I feel like even if one of the wide receivers has a great game, it will probably still go to the quarterback because he's thrown them the ball, kind of thing. It feels very much that this is what happens a lot of the time, which is why the odds are so short. I mean, it is very much who you think wins. So whoever you feel wins, I mean, they're pretty much the same odds, to be honest. But personally, I think like the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. So Hurts at 13-10. I mean, I'd like to see someone win it who isn't a quarterback. I mean, there are guys out there that could do it, but when you look at these teams, feels like if you go Eagles, the defense is more of a solid unit together. So I can't see one particular guy standing out on that. The Chiefs, I mean, maybe if Chris Jones has a great game, then maybe that's one that you could look at. I think that he may potentially be able to do something, but I mean, I probably wouldn't be backing it on that. And then, you just feel like, I don't know, even if Kelsey scores like 2 touchdowns, does it just go to Mahomes because he probably gets more than 2 touchdowns? This is the problem. So I do feel it's very, very much likely to be a quarterback.
We've already mentioned them once, so we may as well mention them again. Sky, the Patriots had an MVP that wasn't the quarterback. Julian Edelman won it and for you guys. So do you think it's definitely going to a quarterback, or can you see one of the running backs or wide receivers or defenders taking it this year?
I think the only scenario where I think if the Chiefs win it, Mahomes is definitely going to get it, because the only scenario that he wouldn't is like Brady didn't throw a touchdown pass in that game. If Gronk didn't go down at the 1 and he scored instead of Sony Michel, then Edelman probably wouldn't have got it that day. So that was literally it. So I think Mahomes is a shoo-in for the Chiefs side, as much as I want to say Pacheco, like I said on Tuesday. Been banging on about him, so the odds are good. But I think with the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, maybe it's because they've won their 2 games convincingly, but he didn't throw a touchdown against the 49ers, because they were sort of game managing in the second half. I know he rushed 1 in, and then, even I think he got 2 touchdowns passing touchdowns against the Giants. He didn't have a load of yardage. So I think if you were going to go for an outside player on either side, I would probably lean towards the Eagles and one of the receivers, either AJ Brown or Smith.
And Sam, finally, same question to you, mate.
Yeah, I want to pick somebody exciting, but it's so hard to look beyond the quarterbacks. And every year I kind of buy into it's going to be a running back, because in theory, I feel like it would make more sense for a running back to win it than a receiver, purely because the quarterback's not really involved most of the time to the same level. But I think Pacheco, I mean, if it's the Eagles, Hurts will be doing a lot of the rushing anyway, so that takes any running back there out. Pacheco, could it be him? Massive price. And, if Mahomes' injury does get worse during the game and they have to kind of rely on the ground game a bit more, potentially that's an avenue, but it's really hard. It's really hard to look beyond the quarterback. So I'd probably go there. But I think with the quarterbacks, you're generally getting better value for betting on the quarterback to be MVP than you are for the team to win the game, certainly in the Eagles' case. So I potentially, if I thought the Eagles were going to win, bet on Hurts as MVP to try and get a bit bigger odds.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you guys. I think if the Chiefs win it, it's going to Mahomes. But if the Eagles win it, that's where I think there is the chance of there being someone else. I think because they run the ball a lot and they've been famous for running it. I think if Hurts doesn't throw any touchdowns and Miles Sanders gets in the end zone a couple of times, I think that we saw it in the previous game. it could be going to him. I think there's a strong chance that if Miles Sanders has a big game and Hurts doesn't throw a touchdown, I think that at 25-1, that's probably where my money would be outside the quarterbacks. I think, like I said, they love to run the ball, and there is a chance it could just be all run game for them, despite the fact the Chiefs got a bad secondary and not too bad at front seven. So, anyone disagree with that?
Nope.
Oh,
I agree.
No one agrees with me on that. That's new. Now, has anyone got any more things from the website they want me to check out or have a look at before we move on to what we're all here for, and that is our charity bets?
So the only other thing that I did see in the match combos that I quite like the look of was Travis Kelce is literally on the top one at 2-1. I know it's not massive for a combo, but to me it looks pretty good. Travis Kelce to score a touchdown, Kelce to get 85 plus yards and to receive 1+ pass. If he's getting 85 yards, he's going to get the pass, so that's fine. I think he's got a good chance of getting in this game because he's the number one receiver. So at 2-1, I think that's a pretty good price.
Yeah. Small odds, though. Small odds. You love a small odds.
Small odds, but it's still...
Where's the 50-1s?
Yeah. Where's the big money bets?
You got to keep going down. Go down.
Yeah, show more. It's a shame you can't get bets on like the backup quarterbacks and things like that. I think they're just not. They have to try and request the bet. But anything else from anyone?
I'm kind of buying the under overall. I think it's 51 points right now.
Yeah,
and I mean both these teams are brilliant offensively, but I probably should have looked this up before coming on here. I feel like every single Super Bowl where there's two offensive powerhouses, you kind of spend your whole time beforehand talking about how it's going to be so high scoring, all these touchdowns, and ultimately it doesn't happen. And I feel like there's a real risk of that with this. You got an Eagles offense that slightly knocked up. It sounds like there's a bit of flu going around the team as well. And then you have the Eagles who, I mean, it's hard to see anything going particularly wrong with them, but you never know. And I don't know. I just feel like everybody's so confident we're going to see a shootout. Maybe it's best to kind of go the other way and expect it to be a bit of a low-scoring game.
Sky, you were leaning towards that when we spoke about on Tuesday, that we were all talking about how high-powered offense these were, and maybe it wasn't going to be the game that we think, and it could be a bit of a low scorer. Yeah,
I think we've seen that I feel like in more Super Bowls, other than the Chiefs being blown out by Tampa Bay, but even then, it still was quite low compared to what people thought because the Chiefs underperformed offensively. So, yeah, I mean, I think I said 24-20 on Tuesday to the Chiefs and, still below 50 points. I would be surprised if it was over 50, to be honest.
Adam, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think when I mentioned it, I think I went for something like 27-21 or something. I think that it feels very high for a Super Bowl. It's that thing, isn't it, that they always come out and say about how, defenses win championships and stuff like that. And it does kind of feel very much like Sam said, everyone's expecting this to be a high scoring game. You've got two really big, offenses that do really well. But I think a lot of people have kind of underestimated, the Chiefs have got a great front seven. We saw what they can do against in the last couple of games they played in the playoffs. The Eagles as well. I mean, defensively have been very solid throughout all the games. I know they didn't have much against, once Brock Purdy went out injured in the 49ers, but it's still, a very strong defense. So if you sort of bring them both together, it does feel like points might not be quite as plentiful as what they are suggesting. So I think the under is quite a bet that's worth going for.
Well, should we take a look at what we put our money on? See how we're winning all this money for charity.
Go on then.
One sec. Let's see who's up first. It is Sky.
Drum roll.
There you go. Nice little graphic for you.
I like that. You chose a good photo.
You're welcome, mate. I thought, I've got to try and get his hair in there. I know he's really tight. Loves a bit of hair, a bit of a swoop. So Sky, your first bet. Talk us through it. I don't know whether you can see it well on there. You probably got it in front of you.
Yeah, I do. I'm confident in my Chiefs one, to be honest. I mean, I've been talking Pacheco up. We've all spoke about how the Chiefs need to focus on the run game, especially with Mahomes dealing with his injury. So I think the yards, I expect him, to be honest, to get at least 50. McKinnon, I know, probably shoot myself in the foot with this one, but he's been quiet in 2 games, but we know his receiving threat, right? And sometimes Kelsey, I know he's almost unstoppable in the red zone, but we know Sam touched upon earlier about how good Andy Reid is at play calling. So, McKinnon could come in a couple there. I don't feel like 15 yards is a lot to ask for, especially in a Super Bowl with 2 prolific offenses. Mahomes, we all touched upon him being the MVP. So if the Chiefs are going to play well, I expect at least 2 touchdowns. And I mean, Kelsey, I think Adam said at the beginning, he's almost one where that's where you just don't overthink it. If you're going to pick a player from the Chiefs to score any time, especially in a Super Bowl against his brother, they're both going to be highly motivated. But I think out of the ones that are all listed there, for me, Kelsey to score a touchdown is almost a guarantee.
Yeah, we got 5-1 on the odds on this one. A lot shorter than what I thought they'd be. But sticking 4 things into a bet, I thought the odds might be a slightly higher than 5-1. You've gone very conservative with your first bet. Adam, what do you think of this? Do you like the look of it? £150 return.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see anywhere where it shouldn't come off. Like I think if the Chiefs are going to win, they've got to get that run game going. So that immediately goes into Pacheco. McKinnon, as we know, has been very good in the passing game, as Sky has said. So it's not particularly high. Mahomes, again, if the Chiefs are going to win, is going to have to throw for a couple of touchdowns, I think, and Travis Kelce. So yeah, I don't see it. I think it's perfectly plausible that it'll come off. It's not a bad bet. I just, me personally, I mean, I've done one with the Chiefs winning as well, but I just don't know. For me, I think the Eagles will get it, but I think there's no reason to think it won't.
Sam, this one is the shortest odds of all the bets that we've all put on. Do you think, as it's the shortest odds, it's got the best chance, or do you think, there is a lot that's got to happen for it to come in?
I'm quite happy with most of that, to be honest with you. I think the thing that would worry me most, and I think I've got this in one of mine, so I probably shouldn't be saying this, but the Chiefs winning, because I do think it's a really close game. I think the other things, I feel like they're more likely than they're not, to be honest with you. I think McKinnon over 14.5 receiving yards. Absolutely love that line. I mean, you could do that in 1 reception.
Well, yeah, could do it on the first play of the game.
2 receptions, he's definitely doing it. So, yeah, I think that's a really smart line. And if I was doing a bet builder, that's one I would definitely be considering chucking in for sure.
Sky, the lads like your first one. Do they like your second one? Talk us through your second one, mate.
So, yeah, for the Eagles one, I mean, I don't think the odds are as crazy, but I just, with both of them, I thought, I'm trying to picture it in the way, if this team wins, how do they win the game, right? So same logic with the Eagles. I feel like, I know Adam was mentioned about AJ Brown being covered, but, we both know he's that good that if he wins his one-on-one, there's no need, there's nothing to say against him not having 7 catches, because I picture it being, despite being 24-20, I feel quite pass heavy. Jalen Hurts, he's been all season a dual threat, a lot of RPOs this Eagles offense runs. So I think over 35 yards is more than possible as well. Completely agree with what you're saying about Sanders. I know they've gone with a committee, and I probably will regret saying this, but I feel like in the Super Bowl, you back your best player, right? There's always going to be the odd X factor guy, which Sam touched upon, but I feel like of the running backs, they would be smart to lean on Sanders out of those running backs they have. And then, yeah, just as I said at the beginning of the show, I just think we've got maybe I'm contradicting myself by having Brown with 7 receptions and Goddard to score a touchdown. But I just think that, again, in the red zone, especially in a big game, it's almost a mismatch, most of these tight ends. And I think he's kind of gone under the radar through the season as well. Obviously, I know he's had a few injury problems, but in the playoffs, he's looked good. So I think if they sort of get short situation in the red zone, then I like Dallas Goddard to get a touchdown.
Yeah, I think we might have a few different names in the touchdown ones, I think, for the Eagles. I think that's the slight difference in some of them, but a lot of them look very similar in our bet building. Sam, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, it's good. Again, I look at it and I think for the price, it is good. I think the one thing that worries me is AJ Brown, because I feel with him in this game on Sunday, he's not going to have 6 or 7 receptions. It's going to be one or two things. He's either going to have 2 receptions and storm off the pitch after the game, or he's going to have 9 or 10 and put on a clinic. I feel like there's no middle ground with him, which kind of concerns me. I don't know which way to bet it on him, and yeah, so that concerns me. But other than that, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I think Dallas Goedert's been finishing the highest reception of receiving players for them over the last couple of games. So yeah, that would probably be the area I was looking at. Adam, do you like the look of this one?
Brown scares me to get 7 receptions. Goddard is a funny one. He's quite, as I've said a lot, he's the safety blanket for Hurts. He's not necessarily the touchdown scorer. That's the only thing that's a little. I love both rushing lines. I think both rushing lines are good, and obviously the Eagles to win. But yeah, it's the Brown one more than anything. I think that's he could easily do that. But at the same time, it could easily be Devonta Smith that does it, and that's the problem.
Yeah, well, best of luck with them, Sky. Let's on to the next one. It is Sam. I hope you don't.
Yeah,
mind.
so
what's the big one? Put the big one in first. The big odds are in first.
Yeah, so okay, it's big odds, and this is one of those. Obviously, you've got to be responsible with your gambling. We all know that. But I was thinking it's the Super Bowl. I'm going to, swing for the fences. And I can't stop thinking, well, actually, we'll get Kadarius Toney out of the way first and foremost. Kind of touched on him earlier. I think for the price, he was really good sort of person to score. So I've chucked him in there just to boost the odds. But then it is all about Devonta Smith. And I just can't shake this feeling. If the Eagles win, it's because he's gone nuclear. And I wish I could give you loads of great stats why this is going to happen. But to be honest, this is pure, like, I'm on the edge of my seat. It's just going with my gut here. So I've gone Devonta Smith, 90+ receiving yards and 2 or more touchdowns. I'm expecting this to be the Devonta Smith game. And you're getting a massive 80-1 for that, which is it value? Probably not. But sometimes you've just got to enjoy yourself.
I think we'll all be rooting for that bet. Looking at the return on that for charity is just insane. So we'll all be rooting for it. I know Adam has said the words Devonta Smith a lot over the last few weeks on the betting show. So you've got to like the look of this one as well.
I do. I actually do quite like the look of it. I think it's quite possible that it could happen. If he's going to score 2 touchdowns, the way that Smith sort of plays, they do tend to be big plays. So 90 yards isn't like an insane line for him if he is to score 2 touchdowns. Again, as we've said, there's going to be trick plays. If anyone's going to come up with more, it's going to be the Chiefs and Andy Reid. So Kadarius Toney isn't a crazy one either. I mean, look, the odds are 80-1 for a reason, but it's like that you can make sense of it and think that actually there is a good chance that it could happen. So I've never seen a bet builder that I wanted to win more that isn't mine. Let's put it that way.
Adam, you say it's 80-1. It's 80-1 for a reason. Earlier today, that bet was 100-1. There must be people putting money on it. That's how it works. Sky, you went AJ Brown. They've gone Devonta Smith. What do you think?
I think it could go to either of them. And weirdly, out of the 3 options there, I agree with Tony. I think he's got more than a big chance of being the X factor on that Chiefs offense. I think Smith could have 2 touchdowns, but it's just the yardage that scares me out of those. Because I feel, with the way how often they run the ball, a lot of short passes. I feel like the deep guy is AJ Brown. Right, we see Smith getting involved in a lot of screens, yards after the catch, but it doesn't mean he can't break off for a big, reception and then get yardage after. But I think of the 3, I'd be surprised if any Eagles player probably gets over 70, 75 receiving yards. But I think the 2 touchdowns is more than possible, and yeah, Toney could be the X factor.
I think.
You're no fun, are you? Honestly, come on, we want this one to win.
Yeah. Sorry, I want it to win, obviously. But
I think what we want from this is if the Eagles get the ball to start off with, the first play is just like he just blazes the length of the field. There's the 1 touchdown. nearly got your 90 yards already, and we'll be rubbing our hands hoping that the rest of the game will be getting there. Be good to look forward to. Sam, talk us through your second bet, mate.
Yeah, the second one. I think this is really similar to one of the first bets we saw actually, but Chiefs to win. I keep switching between them and the Eagles. Right now, I'm thinking the Chiefs, so Chiefs to win. Pacheco, 55 plus rushing yards. As Sky said, I don't see a world in which he doesn't have a really good game. So that's just simple for me. Tony, 2+ receptions. Similar again. I've said that I think they're going to get the ball in his hands as much as possible. I think it is a little risky still, but I do like it. Mahomes, 2+ passing touchdowns. And Kelsey at any time. I know Sky had both of those as well. I think if the Chiefs win, I don't see both of those two not happening.
Sky, a couple of things similar to you there. Surely you got a look at this one.
Yeah, I was nodding along too much there. I was like, I like this bet. And I was like, hang on a minute. That's because it looks familiar. No, I agree with all of them. And actually, I wish I'm sure we all saw the notification earlier about Tony, like you were saying, Andy. So maybe we should have thrown in receptions in mine as well. But yeah, completely agree. I think all of those are more than possible. And I know I already said it, but I will be shocked if Pacheco doesn't get over 50 rushing yards if the game script goes the Chiefs' way. So I think that's got a really good chance of winning.
And Adam, bar the Tony 2 receptions, which is easily done. That's a lot of what you've been saying all year, really, isn't it, for the Chiefs? Those names, Pacheco, Kelsey, Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, the only one really that I suppose we mentioned a lot was McKinnon as well. But I mean, yeah, they're all pretty. It feels like they've all got a very good chance getting in. Obviously, the Tony one is the only real concern, but like you say, 2 receptions, he should be able to get in this. So yeah, you feel like it's got a pretty decent chance of coming off.
Now, Adam, we're on to you next. I think if it wants to move, there we go.
There we go. Right, yeah. So Chiefs to win. I think that I felt like I should do one on the Chiefs side, despite the fact that I feel pretty confident the Eagles will win it. But Chiefs to win, Pacheco over 44.5 yards, I think is a good shout. And I've gone for MVS touchdown. Got to get the old Packer in there somehow. And yeah, I think I can see a long bomb to MVS as he did against the Bengals.
Yeah, you've been our stable treble bet every week. That's where you've won your money this year, on the trebles on the betting show. You seem to have stuck with the trebles. You seem to have stuck with the Adam odds as well. Sky, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I really like it. I mean, obviously the Pacheco and Chiefs one, I had both of them. And the thing with MVS, to be fair, with this Chiefs offense, with it being so unpredictable in terms of them having so many guys who can do something. I mean, if somebody does get banged up again in this game, we saw that he stepped it up against the Bengals, over 100 receiving yards and a touchdown. So I guess similar to what I said before, in the big game, you want to go to the people you trust, right? And if he's built up that rapport with MVS and he knows he's already relied on him in the AFC Championship game, I think it's more than possible he can get a touchdown in the Super Bowl as well.
Sam, do you agree with that? Are you on the MVS train for this?
No. I want to be on the MVS train. But even against the Bengals, when he got like 100+ yards, touchdown, whatever it was, I look at him and I don't see it. I don't see why he's good. I know it's an awful thing to say, but the thought of Valdez-Scantling scoring a touchdown in a Super Bowl, maybe even a Super Bowl winning touchdown, I just don't want it to happen. Just on a personal level.
Wow.
So yeah, I think for the good of the charity, I'd like this to come in. But I just don't like him as a player. So yeah.
I'd just like to apologise to MVS. I know he's a big so, he'll be tuning in, rubbing his hands that he's in a bet, but we've slagged him off, so he's probably turned off now. Adam, there's probably a bit of bias there. Obviously, you were a Green Bay Packers fan. He didn't catch any Super Bowl winning touchdowns for you, but maybe this time. Talk us through your second bet, Adam.
So for the second one, I've gone for Dallas Goedert over 45 yards, receiving yards. I just think he's the safety net for Hurts. I think you're going to get that front seven from the Chiefs that are going to try and put pressure on as much as they can. So I think he's going to be the one where the ball's going to go to quite a bit in that respect. Really like Devonta Smith in this one, just to score at any time. I think that's got a good chance of coming off. And then finally, rather than the Eagles just to win, I've gone for the -1.5. I think, if it's within a field goal, you might as well go for it for the slightly better odds. So I think the -1.5 is a good shout as well.
Yeah, another safe one, another treble, another 6-1, Adam. Sam, do you like the look at this one?
Yeah, I love this one. I think I am toying between the Chiefs and the Eagles literally every day at the moment. But I mean, the other two, I think they're definitely going to happen. Like you said, I think we're going to see a lot of Dallas Goedert. Maybe not massive kind of plays, but he is just going to consistently get the ball, move the chains. And Devonta Smith, yeah, I've already touched on him. I think he's going to have a good game. So for me, 6-1, really, really nice price.
Sky?
I like the Smith one because of course Sam had Smith as well. I like the Eagles spread, but with Goddard, as much as I feel like I'm going against myself. I was hyping him up before, but it's just one of those things where because I think he had over 50 yards against the Giants, but only like 23 against the Niners. Because I was having a look earlier, so it just shows that obviously I know he's Hurts his blanket guy, but there could be short yardage situations. So you could have 6 or 7 catches, but it could be for 25 or 30 yards. So when I was looking at my bet, I thought I'm more confident in him getting a goal line touchdown in the red zone, being thrown to, than I am going for his yardage. So of the 3, I'm 50-50 on the yardage, but sold on the other 2.
Well, that only leaves my bets left then. Here we go. First up, there's a lot on there, isn't there? First up, again, I've gone with Dallas Goedert as well. I've just gone with the receptions for him. As I said, I went back, had a little look. The receptions seem to be going to him, maybe not the yards. So I've just gone for 4 receptions for him. I've added in a bit of a sack in there. The odds were really good for people to get sacks. So I've gone with Reddick to get 1 sack. Jalen Hurts over 34.5 rushing yards. Kenneth Gainwell over 24.5 rushing yards. Sanders over 44 rushing yards, and Sanders to score. As you can see, I've gone very run heavy for the Eagles, and I've done something very different to what all you guys have done. I've put together 2 bets, a Chiefs bet and an Eagles bet, but with no one to win it, just in the hope that maybe both of them could come in. I don't need a winner for my bets to come in. So that's why I've had to add a few more things in there. But at 12-1, I've gone very low on things and I've gone run heavy. Adam, do you like it?
Yeah, I think that there's, like you say, there's a lot of run heavy in it, but it's entirely possible that it could come off. They're going to have to run the ball. That's what they like to do a lot of the time as well. I do wonder if they might not necessarily... Gainwell at over 24.5 rushing. I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot, but you just sort of wonder whether they will lean on Sanders quite a lot, whether Gainwell's going to be more in the passing game. That's the only thing. But the rest of it, I think, is pretty good. And obviously, the sack for Riddick, you would hope that he would be able to get that. But as we've said, when it comes to the Eagles' defense, it is kind of a unit, and so it could be any of them that get it. But yeah, I mean, Riddick's been great all year. Yeah, they all look pretty decent.
Sam, do you think I've gone too run heavy?
Yeah, kind of. I think 3 different players on the same team to beat the rushing total is... I mean, that's the thing. With the Eagles especially, it really could happen. And Gainwell's probably the one I'd be a bit more skeptical on. But the sack leg, I absolutely love. I actually wish I'd put one of those in one of my bets. I think it just gives you...
You add it in and it boosted the odds like massively. So it's a no-brainer.
And it gives you a little something extra. You can almost watch like both sides of the line and of the ball, which I think just from an enjoyment perspective is quite fun. And Goddard receptions, I think, I love that line.
I steered away from the receivers because I really didn't know where it was going to go. You were a split decision between you guys. Some of you gone Smith, some of you gone Brown. I went run game. Sky, what do you think about this one?
I like the sack option. We know how good Reddick's been this season. Goddard just spoke about, I would go for the receptions and him getting a touchdown over yardage. So I think that was smart. I was just having a quick look actually with the Eagles-Niners stats. So Gainwell had 48 rushing yards, Sanders 42, and Hurts 39. So obviously that just shows that Gainwell took a bit of yardage away from Sanders in that game. I think, as Sam said, it's probably asking a lot for 3 people who run the ball a lot to go over. And you'd probably need a similar game script to that Niners game. But weirdly, out of the 2, I don't know why, now that I've looked at that, I feel more confident in Gainwell getting his rushing yardage than Sanders, but him still definitely getting a touchdown, because we know we've seen him in the, for all season, really, getting touchdowns. So, yeah, I think overall, though, it's good. And I think it was smart to not include someone to win, whereas I just went, Eagles and Chiefs.
I just thought, if I'm going to have that, one of my bets is going to lose. So I was like, I want maximum money here. I want to get as what I can. And I suppose with mine as well, they're such low overs. I felt like there's somewhat of a chance. I haven't gone particularly high with the overs. I haven't gone 90+ yards for a receiver. And my last bet, my Chiefs bet, it's a sack for Frank Clark. It's Pacheco over 35 yards rushing. It's McKinnon over 25 yards receiving. Mahomes over 250 passing. And Pacheco, just for you, Sky, to get in the end zone as well. Let's go to you as I put Pacheco in there. Sky, do you like the look of this one?
I do. Looking through now, I think all of them will come in. I don't want to say other than Frank Clark because he's immense, but everyone talks about Jones as well, right? So I guess it depends who that Eagles O-line targets in terms of trying to, have 2 linemen sort of get them out of the game and what's going to happen there. But no, I think that's really good. I think that's got a good chance, probably because I'm such a big Pacheco fan. But, I had the McKinnon receiving yards. Mahomes, you would expect him to put up that if it's the sort of game that we're all expecting. And yeah, why not a Pacheco touchdown? Why not?
Why not, eh? Sam, do you think I've over-egged it with the Mahomes yards a little bit, or do you think he's going to comfortably get that?
No, I like it. I think the Eagles one was 12-1 as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, both 12-1.
Yeah, I think this is at 12-1, like far better value than the other one. I look at that and I think, like, how is that 12-1? It should be less. I really like that. I think that's potentially maybe the best of the lot, I think, for the price.
Adam, how do you feel about someone saying that mine was the best of the lot and not yours? Double the odds.
Sorry, Adam.
I like it. I'm just not keen on the Frank Clark bit. That's the only thing. But the rest of it, I think, has got a very good chance coming in. Be interesting to know what the odds were without the Frank Clark one. I think that would definitely be worth having a go at. But I'm just not confident with picking any of the D line going up against this Eagles O line that's been very strong all year. So, but apart from that, it looks pretty good.
As I said, sticking a sack in there, just one sack, yeah. It did boost them quite a bit on both of mine. And with the Eagles, it was very easy. I was always going to go with Riddick, but it was Frank Clark or Jones. And I just settled with Clark for it because I like it made it 12-1, and I thought 2 12-1 bets would look quite nice. So were we all hailing me as the betting champion now? You said mine was the best. I think I'll take that.
How you done over the season so far?
Probably. Well, I don't build the trebles. We rely on you. I host the show, but I've definitely had some really, really good quarterback sneak bets that came in. I had some really, really good Titans that no one's ever heard of bets come in, Adam. And I only need 1 or 2 of mine to come in through the season to eclipse your 5-1 bets.
Are you still talking?
No.
Okay, cool.
Come on. We know you did well. You are our resident betting man. We know you had a good season. We know the trebles went well. Let's take my face off of the screen for that now. Let's just have us, lads. That's the charity bets. They're all on. Fingers crossed we can get some money for some mental health charity that it's very close to home for me and for many others. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for putting your time in. Just before we go, Sam, where are you watching the Super Bowl? What are you doing for it?
I think I'm going to be in a Brewdog somewhere in central London, eating lots of buffalo wings, hopefully.
That sounds good to me. A bit of craft beer and some buffalo wings is an ideal night for me. Sky?
I've organised a pub crawl on Sunday. About 7 of them. And then end up in the famous Three Kings in West Kensington.
Right, so you say pub crawl. What time are you starting it?
I'm going to start watching Manchester United and Leeds at mine at 2 and then venture out from about 4 onwards. So
there's a chance you could fall asleep at halftime.
I'll wake up just in time to see Rihanna's whichever song I choose come in as a novelty bet and then see the red and pink Gatorade. So maybe a nap in the pub and both of them coming in.
Saw none of the game, but happy as Larry in the corner, very, very drunk. Adam, have you got a nice cozy one at home planned so you can shout at the telly as loud as you want without people hearing you?
I doubt I'll be shouting because I'm sure the missus will be asleep and she'll scream at me if I wake her up. So that's not going to go down well. But I will be at home just quietly celebrating whatever happens when the money comes rolling in. So,
Well, when MVS gets into the end zone, can you film me one of Freddie's famous silent cheers when he didn't try and wake up, when he didn't want to wake up Karras when they drafted Najee Harris?
Yeah, I'll do that for you.
As always, the fantasy show that we run, all the lads that are in that be coming around mine to watch the game together. So that's my plan for it. We've done bet builders tonight as well because 888 have got a offer on at the moment. If you do have the bet builders and it's a losing bet, they will give you a stake back in free bets. So jump on them, have a look. We're going to post ours onto social media and they're going to be out there. So you can copy ours, you can make your own. But either way, be gamble aware, bet responsibly, and enjoy the Super Bowl, guys. Thanks for joining, and goodbye.